spicy. Jimmy Garoppolo on there could be a benefit, but have they kind of burned that bridge?
We'll say this. Gardner Minshew is the best backup in the NFL.
I love Gardner. Welcome to 30 Minutes of Football. This is Anthony Weiner of Legit Football, joined here by Kevin Phillip Fox of at the Buffalo Trail on Twitter. Kevin, how are you doing?
What's going on, Anthony? I couldn't be doing better, man. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so ready to talk football. We're so close to playoffs. My excitement is reaching a fever pitch right now. So, fantasy championships this week. I made it in one, our dynasty league. So I'm looking to hoist the trophy this year. Looking like it's going to be a fun, exciting matchup.
Yeah, so if anyone wants to take fantasy advice from anybody, it'd be you because you are headed toward the championship. Don't listen to me. I'm in the toilet bowl. So.
And are you winning in the toilet bowl? I haven't checked. How's that looking for you?
I'm fighting for 11th place right now.
Let's go. Get that 11th.
I'm going to have some early draft picks next year, so that's going to be fun.
Anthony has the most stacked cupboard of draft picks in Dynasty League probably that's ever happened in the history of Dynasty. So look for this guy to be a force in 2 to 4 years.
It's gonna bite me. I can feel it already. It's gonna bite me. So let's just get started here. So the regular game at 30 minutes, and we're just gonna answer any questions that come in the comments. And we're gonna talk about start, sit, sleepers, and then finally Thursday night football against the Dallas Cowboys and Tennessee Titans tonight. So are you ready to go?
I was born ready, dude.
30 minutes of football starts now.
So we're waiting for some questions in the comments. So if anybody hops in, throw questions. But what do you think about starting with start of the week?
Let's do that. Let's start with yours. I want to know yours. I want to know what's going on through your head this week, going into week 17.
Absolutely. And I felt like I had to be, a lot of analysts, a lot of people who do what we do, they stand on platitudes and they say, oh, I'm gonna recommend this, but they wouldn't do it themselves. I'm gonna give you advice that I would take myself. This is a crazy move that I made. I have the Bills defense, right, in fantasy football, one of the best defenses in the entire league.
The Bills,
one of the highest scoring defenses, but they're playing Cincinnati, so there's no way in hell in my fantasy championship I'm gonna start them. So I went out there, and as gross as it might sound, I picked up the New York Giants defense, who was playing the Indianapolis Colts, and I decided to take the shot. That's my start of the week, and I wanted to give you something that I have a lot invested in too. So I'm giving it the shot in the arm there. The Giants defense playing Nick Foles.
Wow. Okay.
Against the Colts. Jeff Saturday might be the lamest lame duck in head coaching history. Great effort. Had a nice little game. But what a way to go out. I think the Giants defense is going to eat. I'm predicting between 4 and 6 sacks, at least 2 turnovers, and not a lot of points. So that's my start of the week, Giants defense.
That's not a bad start. I can see the Giants defense just shutting down a missing Indianapolis Colts offense. I do want to bring up the Colts later on, but that's going to be a different conversation. Ooh. We have a comment in the comments that Donovan Peoples-Jones or Haskins at flex.
That's a really tough call, Jade Dragon 91. What's going on, Jade Dragon 91? I actually kind of, in a really weird way, like Haskins tonight. I know that Dallas's defense is fantastic and the game is going to be a boat racing, but I don't know if you guys heard, but Josh Dobbs is starting at quarterback, so it kind of feels like a game where they're just trying to make sure that they have 53 warm bodies ready to go next week, right? Like it kind of feels like one of those games where it's almost like they're packing it in for this week because they have a real important game next week against Jacksonville for Tennessee is, I believe, winning in. So they're not really going to take tonight's game too seriously. But that being said, Haskins isn't a major focal point of their offense on normal weeks, so I could see them really, really getting some tread on those tires, really, really giving them some run. And with that kind of volume, I feel like you could do worse. So I'm leaning Haskins. I have to look into Peoples-Jones. But what about you, Anthony? What do you think?
I want to say Peoples-Jones is a sit, just because Deshaun Watson just has not been looking very good, and they're probably going to try to rely on another receiver that maybe even the run game, but I don't see him being very productive. He hasn't been getting targeted. Jacoby Brissett liked him better.
Yeah.
So he was getting targets there, but now Watson's like, Don Peoples-Jones isn't open. Who am I supposed to patch someone who can't get open? So I think Peoples-Jones is a sit. I would start Haskins at flex.
Yeah, I like where your head's at, and I think it's pretty interesting because I just looked into it, and Peoples Jones went 1 for 2 last week, one
Yeah.
reception for 2 yards. That's about as bad as you can be. I mean, I know the weather was kind of bad, and I know Watson's getting up to speed, but yeah, I'm with Anthony on that one. I'm sitting Peoples Jones. Think I'm gonna roll out Haskins, even though you have to be prepared. It's Haskins. You know,
Yeah.
he's not bad. He's an NFL player, but he's not Derrick Henry. And the Dallas defense isn't the Houston defense. So this is going to be. It's almost like a close your eyes and just check tomorrow. Like if you're stressed, don't watch the game because you might game flow might be ugly and gross. But if he falls into the end zone, you're going to be happy. That's what I think.
Also, I would definitely avoid putting a Thursday night on your flex. Just a piece of fancy advice
I
there.
love this guy. He gets me every
Um,
week. I'm gonna go check mine now. I always forget.
So here's a non-fantasy question.
Here we
Panthers
go.
beat the Bucks and Saints make the playoffs.
You know what's crazy? I actually think that the Panthers do have a really legitimate chance to beat the Bucks. I don't know if that's going to mean that the Saints are going to squeak in because I believe Carolina can still be the division winner, as
Yeah.
disgusting as that
It's
is.
a very horrible division.
Oh
So
my
who
God.
knows who's going to come up on one of them's going to playoffs, and that blows my mind.
It's so crazy because like I always have my Bills fan goggles on, and I'll tell you what, man, I've seen some bad Bills teams, but none of them have ever been like back when they were drought era Bills, 7-9 every year, 8-8 every year. I would have killed to have a division like this. You know what I
Oh
mean? Like,
yeah, yeah.
I'm sure as a Lions fan, I'm sure you've seen
Well,
years where
yeah, Green Bay they've been very dominant.
exactly
So
where
it
they're just
never.
if Detroit was just a middling team, if imagine winning a division as a middling team, like I couldn't
Yeah.
fathom it. I'm sure you couldn't fathom it either.
I mean, having an almost 500 record and
Oh,
making playoffs is. I mean, the Giants did it and won the Super Bowl, so it's definitely not.
but keep in mind, I believe they were a wild card winner each time, right? I don't think they won
Yes,
the division either. I think Dallas and Philly may have won the division those years.
that's that's just wild. That blows my mind. It's
Yeah, that's how
but
gross it is.
the
Winning a
Panthers
division with a
just
losing record. Ugh,
the Panthers just beat Detroit team that's figured out how to win. They beat them. They ran all
that
over
was
them, over
tough,
300 rush yards.
Anthony.
So they
My
might
heart,
still
my heart
have a
goes out to
shot.
you.
Tampa Bay is just broken.
Yeah,
They
they're
have
broken.
it's bad.
What is up with this? I've never seen an offense so vanilla. I've never seen an offense so packed in. Like I understand that Chris Godwin's a playmaker. I understand that Leonard Fournette is a reliable receiving back, but my goodness, the amount of dink and dunk. Oh my God, I have Mike Evans on my dynasty team, and like it's hard to watch. He every single time that Brady throws the ball to Mike Evans, the ball is almost intercepted. I promise you, I'm not even kidding. Go watch every single Mike Evans target last week. You'll be like, oh my goodness, like there's almost a pick on every target to Mike Evans. Like I'm not kidding. It's weird, man. I don't think it's a Brady issue,
No, I don't
but
think so.
but at what point do you just say like it's I mean, I know it's not a Brady issue. Like there's definitely more to it, but at what point is it just everybody like burn it down? I mean, the Tampa Bay is not running it back with Brady, right? He's got to get out of there.
Yeah, I don't see him retiring, but I also don't see him playing for Tampa Bay next year.
Yeah.
I
That's
think
going to be
that
fun.
he's not getting what he needs to
No.
show that he's still like a good quarterback at his age, and he is. He's very athletic still, and he
Yeah.
looks healthy. It looks like
Athletic is a word, but he's still got the arm. I don't know if I would say athletic.
that I know, but no, for his age, he's athletic for
Yeah,
his age. Because
absolutely.
any
No.
other quarterback at that age could not be doing what he's doing.
Yeah, he definitely has something left in the tank, which I thought he might have been done after his last year in New England. So to see him win a ring and put up some crazy numbers and some great statistics in Tampa for a couple years is just wild, like
Yeah.
unprecedented kind of success. I mean, we see Rodgers kind of hitting that wall now. I don't really see Rodgers being great maybe ever again. I mean, he's very pedestrian this year.
He only
Um,
had Devontae Adams to rely on.
yeah,
But
yeah,
enough about Rodgers and
yeah, yeah.
Brady. My start of the week, which
Here
I'm
we
going to
go.
say right now, is the Jared Goff.
Wow. Going
He
back to the
played
golf train.
Yes, in week 16, he did score 31 fantasy points against Carolina. He has at least 21 points in 4 of his past 5 games. And that was on the road. And Jared Goff has been doing terrible on the road. So what does this mean for Goff? Is this a turning point? Is he over the peak? Like, is he finally headed to where he wants to go? Because if you can succeed at home and on the road, that makes you a good quarterback. If you're getting at least 21 points in fantasy, that's good. So 3 of the past 4 quarterbacks against the Bears have scored at least 26 fantasy points. So the Bears cannot stop quarterbacks and will not be able to stop Jared Goff. He is a start. You heard it from me.
I like that call. I do. Yeah, Chicago's defense has been pretty leaky lately. They had an okay showing against Buffalo until the last frame. I mean, but like once the floodgates opened, the floodgates
Yeah.
opened, and trust me, I needed every single one of those fantasy points from Josh Allen to make it to my final. So, but yeah, the Bears are pretty leaky, and yeah, Goff's been fantastic. Like I've told you, I'm very much out of the I'm out of the mindset that he's a future backup. I'm now officially in the camp of he's a very viable starting NFL quarterback. It's got to be right around him. There's no question. It's got to be right
For
around him.
sure.
And it
And
seems
now he
like,
has Jameson Williams is now playing
yeah,
the young guy we drafted in the first round, 15th
yep.
pick, and he's healthy now. And he scored that wild touchdown against the Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
He's there and he's ready to play. Campbell's keeping him limited, but
Yeah.
in the future, he's going to be very reliable. We have very young guys on the field catching Goff's passes, so it's a young team. So there's a lot of potential there. Amon-Ra St. Brown, DJ Shark, Jared Goff knows how to throw to both of them. The chemistry is there. Definitely gonna be very productive against the Bears defense.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great call. Are we rolling right into sits, or are we thinking
Do
what's
you
the
have
vibe?
any other starts? You
Ooh,
want to do one more start?
bonus starts. Yeah, you know what? I'll throw out a start. This is again, I'm going from experience. Okay, I want to make sure that people know that I'm rolling around in the mud with you guys. I have hard decisions to make, just like everybody else, and I'm making them. So I'm a little loaded at running back in my dynasty league, as you know. And I'm making the choice to, even though this is kind of a meaningless game for Jacksonville for the most part, I'm making the choice to start Travis Etienne. He's playing Houston. They've been hemorrhaging points to the running back, and I think that he's probably going to want to get some more good reps under his belt before the next big stretch of football that he has, a win-in game against Tennessee, and then a playoff game, possibly if they win. I think Travis Etienne is going to have a good week. I know that the Titans players are resting, but I'm leaning towards believing that the Jags players are going to play and play hard.
I like that pick, and let me tell you why. They are still trying to warm Etienne up to being running back 1 and to being like up in the ranks with like Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb. They
I
want him
agree.
to be that kind of running back. So I do think that they're going to be using him through the rest of the season. Playoffs are very hard to reach for them right now. So they're
Yeah.
going to be running the ball with Etienne to see if he is their future running back 1. So I think that that's a very good pick.
Yeah, thanks, man. And I'll tell you what, I want to say this as a football fan. I'm just so stoked that Doug Peterson is in Jacksonville because
Yeah.
he saved the day with Trevor Lawrence, and he's saving the day with the team like freaking nuts. Like seeing, Zay Jones has been a journeyman wide receiver. He's been okay at best in every destination he's been. So to see him really like excelling in Jacksonville warms my heart, because I think he's probably one of those players that and just what they say, it takes the right soil for certain flowers to grow, and I
Right.
think Zay Jones has finally found the flower or the soil that's gonna like help him blossom, and I'm very happy to see it.
The Trevor Lawrence story is similar because
Yeah,
Urban Meyer, I always say this, Urban Meyer stunted the development of Trevor Lawrence.
couldn't agree more. Yeah,
Peterson's like, let's go back in time. Let's start all over. Pretend that you were just drafted. Pretend that this is your rookie year. We're starting all over. Everything that he told you, don't
yeah.
listen to it. And it's been working out for them. And I can definitely see a future of Jacksonville, winning the division, making playoffs every year.
Yeah, very much so. Burnt to the ground sort of situation, and it's a beautiful thing. And it didn't have to like they were almost able to like circumvent their rebuild a little bit because they had Trevor Lawrence. I mean, that's a
Yep.
once in a generation talent, and everybody knew it. Unfortunately, it wasn't really looking to be the case his rookie year, and even at times, like I would say, he wasn't really super sharp early this year, but he's rounded that corner like all the way,
Exactly.
and it's time to buy in on the Jags. I would love to see them sneak into the playoffs. I mean, first of all, I mean, I think it would be sort of like a cute story and not so much like a threat to win the AFC. But I mean, those hungry teams, you never know. Like we talked about the Giants earlier. Those hungry teams can be dangerous. So, but yeah, no. So that's a good place to move on to your second start of the week if you have one.
Yeah, my second start is Drake London.
Woo!
So London, he's been getting more volume lately, and
Good
that's been
rapport with
turning
Ritter.
into fantasy production. And then so I think he's seen at least 9 targets in the last 3 games, and has gone for 70 plus yards. So this is a guy that you want at wide receiver 3 or flex, I think. Don't don't take Tyreek Hill out for Drake
Right.
London. That you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Put
Yeah.
him at 3 or put him at your flex because he's going to get points, but he's not going to be dominant. So I think that he's a good start, but the catch is wide receiver 3 or flex.
And what have you been thinking about Ritter so far in his first couple starts?
I like Ritter. I think he has a lot of work to do, but
Yeah.
he got thrown into this position in the middle of the season. So I think he still has a lot to warm up to.
Yeah.
I think that playing pro ball is extremely intimidating for the quarterback position. And somebody
Yeah.
as young as him, he still needs to figure that out. But I think
Yeah.
he has talent because when we saw him in preseason, and when you see him in practice, he's throwing the ball good. It's under pressure is where he needs help. But when you're a rookie, that pressure is going to build into something better, and I think it's going to be a better quarterback down the road.
Yeah, I'm moderately impressed with what I've seen so far. I'm excited to sort of get into the tape a little bit and like really take a look at what we're seeing with Ritter because I think he could be like a decent starting quarterback for sure.
I mean, do you think he's better than Mariota?
That's a tough call because Mariota's a seasoned pro. It's
Yeah,
it's a difficult decision to make. I think Ritter can be better than Mariota. I mean, Mariota fizzled out everywhere he's been, which is disappointing because he's got the tools. He really looked like he was going to be a great quarterback in Tennessee. I was very surprised when they moved on from him. I don't want to say quickly, but it didn't really feel like he ever had really a fair shot.
yeah.
But now I feel like at this point he's had a fair shot, and I think we can answer the question that he's just not that great.
Yeah, and what's crazy about Mariota that I've noticed is a couple years ago I put him in. He's one of my fantasy quarterbacks, and he gave me points after points after
Yeah,
points. But the
it's the
next
rushing.
week, maybe like 6 or 7 points.
Yeah,
He can make such big plays. And you're like, wow, I can't believe he's athletic. He's such a good quarterback, but he can't stay consistent. He can make plays, but he's not consistent. You don't want a quarterback like that on your team. So I
yeah.
think benching him was probably the best call.
He's very boom bust, and I think that now that he's gotten his next start opportunity, I think it's time for us to accept that he's going to be probably a backup quarterback in the NFL, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Dude, if Buffalo can land Marcus Mariota as their backup quarterback, I would be jazzed. I think he's perfectly fine, and he would fit very well into Ken Dorsey's scheme. So yeah, that's something to watch for the future career of Marcus Mariota. We'll put a pin in that for now.
Yeah, for sure.
What do you think about a little sit action? How do you feel about
So
that?
my first sit, it's very spicy.
Oh, I need this.
People are gonna be like, "Why? What are you talking about? Why are you even podcasting? You're crazy."
I'm so excited for this.
Nick Chubb. And I know Nick Chubb has averaged only 9.4 fantasy points per game in the last month with Deshaun Watson at quarterback. 1.8 targets and 0 touchdowns since Deshaun Watson joined.
Yeah,
That's unproductive
that
for
would
a running back
be.
like Nick Chubb of his caliber. It's very unproductive. And I don't think that's going to change against the Commanders, who have allowed the 4th fewest fantasy points to running backs.
My man
So
brought his stats today,
you,
man. My
you
man
have a
brought his.
Commanders. Yeah, you have a Commanders run defense against a running back that isn't being very productive. If Deshaun Watson's he's not targeting him because Nick Chubb can catch, but he's not hitting it off either.
Right.
Watson's like, I'll either run or pass. Nick Chubb, you just, block for me. So he's not
Wow.
getting anything. And
I'm impressed by your gall, my good sir. I'm impressed by your gall. I don't hate it. I think you'd have to have a great option to throw in his place because he is still one of the 5 top scoring fantasy
Yeah.
running backs this season, if I'm not wrong. So to bench him in your championship would be unbelievably brave, to say the least. But
Yeah.
I like your logic is sound, and I don't think you're crazy. And if on the other side of this week, if Chubb loses people championships, which very well could happen given the statistical argument that you laid out, you can sit there and say, "Freaking told you so, man. Freaking told you so."
But if he gets 50 points,
Yeah. Oh
and
yeah.
then look
You
back
should
on the
probably
towel,
you
and
should
I'm
probably
gonna
leave town.
retire.
Yeah, I was gonna say you should probably leave town at that point.
I'll flee the country.
You're gonna have people with pitchforks at your door saying, "You lost me my chip." Wow, that's a bold set. My set is pretty bold too.
Oh, I'm
Um,
excited.
yeah, I'm sticking at the same position. I just don't see it happening for Miles Sanders this week. It
Oh,
hasn't been happening lately. I don't know. You would think in a game with Philadelphia's backup quarterback Gardner Minshew, you would think that they'd be, more apt to using their starting running back, funneling him carries, funneling him targets. None of the above. He had he's had not great usage lately, and even worse production on that usage. So the Saints defense is pretty solid. So I just don't think this is the week where he gets it together. I think if they're going to get it together against the Saints offensively, it's going to be through the air. I do think they will. I think Philly's going to take care of business in that game.
I mean, Minshew against the Cowboys, which this is wild because the Cowboys defense is really good.
Great defense, yeah.
So Gardner Minshew was actually the third best quarterback this week in yards and touchdowns. So he aired it out, which he might do again.
Yeah.
And so that offense is probably going to focus on the air after a game like that. And like you said, the Saints run defense isn't horrible.
Right.
So starting Miles Sanders and not even letting him run, it might be it.
It just doesn't feel like the kind of situation that I'm comfortable, putting on my hard hat and grabbing my lunch pail and going to work with. It just doesn't feel like he could have a great game. I mean, maybe they realize that he's been underutilized. Maybe Sirianni makes it a focus to get him some looks, but I wouldn't count on it. I think they'll probably want to keep him fresh for the playoffs. I think Philly's big game for the 1 seed. Oh, is one more win and they clinch the 1 seed? Is that the situation that we're looking at with Philly, or?
I believe yes.
Yeah,
if they haven't already clinched, but
I don't think it's clinched yet. I think it's virtually clinched though, from what I've gathered.
Right.
I think last time I checked, they had a 99% chance at the 1 seed.
Yeah, I think because can't Dallas still win out?
That's what I'm thinking, which is why
Minnesota as well.
Dallas has a little to play for tonight, but they're sitting Tony Pollard, so
yeah, I did.
So they have something
and
to play for.
We'll talk about that in a minute too.
They're probably just not afraid of Josh Dobbs and Hassan Haskins, to be realistic. That's probably what it is.
Yeah, but we'll talk about that in a second.
So that's my sit, Miles Sanders. I'm going to ask you for a temperature check now that we still have some fantasy talk. Jade Dragon 91 hasn't asked us a question for a minute, so I don't see our boy Takado this week. I don't see Pro Football Demon. I'm looking for you guys, man. Next week, come back. We need you. But I have some questions for you if you're about it.
Yeah, let's go.
What's your thoughts on Ramondre Stevenson this week? Back-to-back weeks.
I don't like him. I don't like him this week.
He's been bad.
It's tough. It's so tough because they also split carries, so you're not really getting as much production.
Yeah, and Damian Harris might be back this week, and then
I think they're going to focus on Damian Harris, and they're going to give him the ball more. Where
we'll see.
Stevenson's going to be more useful at third down or at the goal line, which will give him touchdowns, but he's not going to get the yards that you need.
Ramondre's one of the toughest guys for me this week because in that league I have Pacheco, Ramondre, Miles, ETN, and Aaron Jones. And I'm like, damn, that's a good problem to have, that I have 5 start-worthy running backs.
Now you have to decide who
But deciding what 3 it's going to be, I mean, I'm already pretty confident that if Christian Watson plays, I'm going to start Christian Watson with Stephon Diggs. But out of those 5 running backs to have 3 to start, I don't know, man. I mean, I can't really see myself benching Aaron Jones if he plays.
Yeah.
And ETN's my start of the week. So it really comes down to Ramondre, Miles, and who was the 5th? Pacheco. And I think I'm going to go with Pacheco, seeing how Cam
Pacheco
Akers.
ETN. If you want my opinion, it'd be Pacheco and ETN.
Yeah, seeing what Cam Akers was able to do against Denver last week.
That was crazy.
That was
And
crazy. Who would have
last
thought?
week I said start Cam Akers. That was my start of the week last week. Was
Let's
Cam
go.
Akers.
Let's go, my
That
man.
felt good to see.
I'm telling you, Anthony, you're on a hot streak right now, man. You should go to Vegas. You should go to Vegas.
Oh
man.
boy. No, so do you have a second sit?
If I had a second sit, well, that was part of the reason why I brought up Ramondre, but
Right, okay.
I guess, yeah, I would love to get into my sits. I mean, if he plays, I think I would be comfortable sitting Greg Dulcich.
Okay.
Because I think Denver's offense is going to pack it in. He did score a touchdown last week, but he tweaked his knee at the end of the game, and unfortunately, because that's one of my only tight ends in one of the. I'm in a third place game in another league, and he's my only tight end. So it's a 14-team double flex, so I had to scrape the bottom of the barrel. I'm trotting out Jordan Akins in that league. How gross is that?
Yeah.
In a third place game. But that being said, yeah, Greg D is a sit, and I think also. I think you have to sit Mike Evans. I mean,
You have to.
I don't want to
If
because
anyone who has Mike Evans, trade him for something, drop him, pick someone off waivers. I don't know, because Mike Evans, I don't see him doing any. I mean,
you think he's washed.
he's a Hall of Famer
Yeah,
for
he's a Hall of
sure.
Famer.
But he reminds me of when a really good receiver just stops being productive, and it happens all the time, especially at his age. But you can't count him out because next year it could be a different quarterback.
It's just hard to fathom because I watch a lot of Tampa Bay games. For some reason, the NFL like shoves them like they pin our eyelids open and they're like, "Watch Tampa Bay." It's so annoying.
It's Thomas Brady.
It's got to be Mr. Brady himself. But I've seen a lot of Tampa games, and I'm not sure if there's like a stat for this. I wish Jimmy Ray was here, but the amount of touchdowns this dude has either dropped or had called back is unfathomable. Like it's at least 4 that I can think of, and those 4 touchdowns alone would take him into another tier of receivers this year.
And it could have won games.
It would make bad games look like good games, and we aren't having that from Mike Evans. So we sort of have to think like, are we ever gonna see a progression to the mean? Are we ever gonna see a progression to the mean? Are we ever gonna see all this bad luck, all this bad statistical probability that's just crushing Mike Evans? Are we ever going to see it swing the other way? Maybe next season, maybe not, because he might not have a good quarterback throwing him the ball. Who knows? Yeah. It'll be very fascinating to see, but I think I'm comfortable saying that you can sit Mike Evans this week, as sad as that makes me.
Yeah, my other sit is also a receiver with a mediocre quarterback on a very good team, Adam Thielen. And this is why, so he's competing right now for targets with KJ Osborne, Justin Jefferson, and TJ Hawkinson. When you're competing against 3 really good, reliable receivers, I would probably sit down, bench Adam Thielen. He wasn't very efficient last week. He wasn't targeted very much, and when he was dropping passes, or there's that one where he fell down instead of trying to break the tackle. And so I think Thielen's an old man. He has kids. I think he's ready to retire. So I would probably sit him for this game.
That's so funny. Yeah, I think that's a good call. Packers have a pretty strong passing defense. There is a scenario where this game turns into a shootout, which I'm just crossing my fingers so hard for, because a shootout between Kirk O'Chains, Kirk Duggins, and Rodgers, for old time's sake, I would absolutely love that with a Packers playoff berth potentially on the line.
Yeah. Also, the Packers have allowed the 6th fewest points to receivers this season.
There you go.
So Thielen's probably going to be stopped.
And the only reason it's 6th fewest is because Stephon Diggs took Jair Alexander's lunch money. I don't know if you remember that, but
I remember that.
He took him to church.
I love to watch the Packers lose. It's a hobby.
That's
so we have 3 minutes left. So let's get into Thursday night football. It's going to be Tennessee Titans versus the Dallas Cowboys. Tony Pollard's out. Malik Willis got replaced with Joshua Dobbs.
Jeez Louise.
So you have Derrick Henry, you got Treylon Burks, you have CeeDee Lamb, you got Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott. I mean, there's some really good players that are going to make some really good plays tonight. Who do you have winning right now?
Well, who I have winning is not a question, and it's by how much. I'm taking Dallas, and I'm taking Dallas to cover a 14-point spread.
Wow.
And I'm doing it confidently. Like, yeah,
Even against Derrick Henry, I mean, even Tennessee's defense isn't terrible. They're
dude,
what,
no,
like
Derrick
ranked
Henry's not
13th?
playing, man. Derrick Henry's inactive,
Derrick
so
Henry's inactive too?
yeah, Derrick Henry's
Oh,
inactive.
no, never mind. I'm with you.
That's why there's so much Hassan Haskins talk, man, because that's the
Right.
only reason why you can throw him in there. Like, if Henry was playing, he would be a non-factor. But it'll be really interesting. I mean, we don't know what Dobbs has. I mean, I think it's nothing because I think he's been bouncing around for a while. But I mean, there's clearly. I respect Mike Vrabel enough to think that he saw something in practice that makes him think he'll
Yeah.
be a better option than Malik Willis. But I think might be a better option than Malik Willis at this point. So
I like Malik Willis because he has like a
long term,
it's
yes,
almost like a
but
Justin Fields kind of like
exactly.
Mariota feel to him, where he
Exactly.
can scramble out of the pocket, run the ball, he can throw on the run. Joshua Dobbs, he reminds me of a lot of Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah, I can
Just
see
the
that.
way that he stays in the pocket and gets that ball out, and he's able to escape. But I don't think he can be as efficient as Malik Willis could have been because I watched him play in preseason a lot, and I
know
like the way he looked.
he was sharp in preseason, but in his opportunities so far this year, he's just not ready.
Right.
He might be great someday. He's got the tools. I mean, that's the most important thing. You know me, man. I'm a tools guy. If you got tools and traits, I'll buy in. I'm not out on Malik Willis long term, but for this season, the fact that he got benched for a third stringer who's making their first NFL start, I think it's pretty safe to say that it was probably for a very specific reason. I think Vrabel made that call, but again, this game doesn't really even matter for Tennessee. Maybe they don't even want to risk their backup. Like I can't remember a time when there was a game before the last game of the season that didn't matter.
Right. But how many games do you see teams who don't have anything to lose play like they have nothing to lose? And that might happen tonight.
They have nothing to gain. They have a lot to lose. That's how I see it. Like
if they beat Dallas, it's going to turn around this entire thing. I mean,
no, that's fair.
We have 10 seconds left. I'm going to say Dallas is going to win, but the Titans are going to cover.
I love it.
That's my hot take tonight.
I always love when you do that because you're you know what's weird? Your success rate on that is pretty high. I've seen you hit that. That call several times. The bad team covering. So I'm impressed by, again, your gall. Anthony over here is dishing it up. He is dishing up the gall tonight.
I've seen a lot of football, and I believe strongly in any given Sunday. These are professional teams on both sides of the ball. A lot of people can show up. A lot of sleepers play amazing games. Yeah. Coaches can realize something. They can, hey, I see what Dallas is doing. I know how to stop it. That might happen tonight. Yeah. Dak Prescott has not been the greatest quarterback of all time. He's been okay. CeeDee Lamb is a really good receiver, but Dak Prescott's get the ball to him still. Tony Pollard's out. They're a little bit on the weak side. Ezekiel Elliott's kind of, I want to say, washed.
He's been pretty hot this year. I think this role that they
Tony
have him
Pollard is kind of overshadowing him, though, and he definitely lost his starting job.
Yeah, if they don't pay Pollard, that's a huge mistake. But they have so much money tied up.
I think they will.
They have so much money tied up in Zeke to be a complimentary running back, which he's doing very well. But he's not the guy anymore. He's not the one.
All right.
This was really fun, man. This was really fun.
Was.
Another great week of legit football and 30 minutes of football. Shout out to everybody who participated. Thank you, Jade Dragon 91. So
tonight, enjoy the game. And I will see you, Kevin, next Thursday when we talk about Week 18.
Dude,
We're almost done.
Wait.
I have mixed feelings because I love postseason, but that means football season is almost over. Then we have to wait what feels like forever for another football game.
Wait till the Lions start making the playoffs, dude. It's going to be even worse. It's going to be even more stressful for you.
Oh, I believe it. Hey, we can still make it this year. So
I believe in you guys, man. I believe in you guys. But as a Bills fan, when we started getting good, we started going to the playoffs every year. The playoffs became way different. Like when your team's in it, it's way different. It's so stressful, dude. And you think about it all week. You're like, oh my god, like I just need them to win, and da da da. Oh, it's crazy. I'm jazzed.
All right. Well, hopefully I can feel that way.
Yes. Fingers crossed.
So thank you, everybody. This has been 30 Minutes of Football with Legit Football.
That's spicy. Jimmy Garoppolo on there could be a benefit, but have they kind of burned that bridge? will say this: Gardner Minshew is the best backup in the NFL.
I love Gardner.